welcome to Darvanalee Design Studio. My name's Nicole Reed and today I'm going to show you how I make my accordion pouches and some of the hacks that I do. But first and foremost, I'd just like to say that this is a Shabby Fabrics pattern and these are just hacks that I do to it to give me a better finish and make it just a little bit quicker So let's get started. Okay, so first and foremost, I'd just like to say that this isn't actually my pattern. This belongs to Shabby Fabrics and I will link up their website down below where you can actually get the template piece. I do have written up instructions over on my blog with the hacks that I'm going to do today. I do a couple of things a little bit different to what they do in their tutorial, but the original purse that I made came from their tutorial, so I just wanted to say that straight up. So a few things that you're going to need today is some regular scissors, some pinking shears, some fusible fleece, some lightweight interfacing. You're going to need the instructions, as I said, and you're also going to need a patchwork ruler and some ultimate crafter's pick ultimate glue. Now I'll put a link down below where you can get that from, and anything else, any other information that you need, so for fusible fleece or lightweight interfacing. I've got everything already cut out and ready to go, and I've interfaced everything that I need to do. So one of the different things that I do is with the fusible fleece, they actually suggest that you have it going in 1/4 inch. I don't. I actually have mine going all the way and I still got to trim some excess off. And I also use a lightweight interfacing on the lining, which they don't actually recommend that you do. Now I do that for two reasons, is because I don't actually like them quilted. I just like them a clean look and everything like that. So basically I have the lightweight interfacing and it can be woven or not. I prefer not to use a woven interfacing for this particular item, and as you can see they do actually have some good shape and to them and everything like that, and they do actually stand up quite well. And also on their pocket they only use some lightweight interfacing. Now I actually use fusible fleece and interfacing, and the particular one that I use in that is a medium weight, and I just feel that that gives it just that little bit more structure to it. So you can see there that it actually it opens up quite well and it sits there. It doesn't flop down as much as it does when you only use the fusible fleece on the outer fabric and the lightweight interfacing in the pocket. So basically what I do is on my exterior fabrics I put the fusible fleece, and on my lining fabrics I put the lightweight interfacing or medium interfacing. I prefer to use a medium weight interfacing. As I said, it just gives it a little bit more structure, and I do that for both the center pieces and for the actual outer part of the purse. And to keep it simple, I just usually use two colors, and so I have whatever the outer is I have for the pocket, and that's facing up, and whatever the lining is I have that for the back of the pocket. Okay, so the next thing that I do is I don't actually leave an opening in my exterior fabric how they said. I like it to look a lot, as most of you know, you do when you leave that opening, no matter where you do it, you get that sort of wobbly look, and I don't really like that. So I like it to be a little bit clean, and I just do something a little bit different. And I learned to do this when I was making the NCW. So basically what I do is I get my lining pieces on both rectangle and the outer, and what I do is I just fold it up to under where the top bit of the purse is, and I just finger press that to make a crease. And then what I do is I usually just get my scissors, but because I'm on camera you won't actually see that crease very well. And then I just make, so I don't want to, I want to be in the center here. Okay, so here's my crease that I've made. Here's the edges of my pouch, so this is where they end. Just open this up. So there's the edges of my pouch, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come down to that crease and about 1 inch in each side. Make a little bit more in. I'm just going to make a small line, and I think it works out to be about 3 inches wide. Then I'm just going to grab my scissors, and just where I've made those little marks, I'm just going to put a little snip there, a little snip there, and then I'm going to cut along that line. Okay, so essentially I've got a hole in there now. Just set that aside, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing with my pocket. So I'm just going to find the center, and I've done these so many times now I don't actually mark them that much anymore. I just put a little snip there and there, about 1.5 inches long to 2 inches, and then cut, and again you get that line. Then what I do is I take my exterior fabric and my lining fabric and I place them right sides together, grab some pins, just pin that into place. Don't need many pins. Okay, and then I'm going to do exactly the same thing with my purse components. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this and pin that, making sure that they're all lining up. Now this is where I do things a little bit different. When I go to the sewing machine, I'm actually going to sew all the way around. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I've got this gap here, and that's where I'm going to turn it through. So I'm going to, and I do exactly the same thing on the rectangle piece. Okay, so as you can see there, I've sewn all the way around, 1/4 inch all the way around. And now what I'm going to do is just grab my pinking shears, and I'm just on those curves, I'm just going to reduce some of that bulk. And this is why I don't really worry about cutting my fusible fleece or my interfacing 1/4 inch in, because I'm cutting it down anyway, so I'm going to get rid of a lot of that bulk. So just making sure that you don't snip into where you've stitched or anything like that. Just go all the way around, and then up onto this is the flap part that I'm doing right now, and we just keep doing that all the way around, and that just gets rid of that bulk. Okay, so do that, get rid of that. And then with this one, I only just snip off my corners and then just trim a little bit away towards the thread. And I don't worry about pinking all the way around, because I just want them to be a little bit thicker because of the way that I finish it off. Get rid of all our rubbish. Okay, so now all we do is we reach in and we just bring that out. Grab your poking tool. So what I do now is I've turned that through and I give that a really good press, and then I'm going to top stitch 1/8 inch all the way around. Turn this one through. Before we do, one thing I forgot is I snip into the corners here. And just stop shy, so you can see there that just makes a little makes it a little bit easier to maneuver and get it to sit right. And I don't go into the threads, I go just before the threads. And then I'll just do a quick turn out. You can see it's super easy to turn through. I don't have to worry about making sure I turn any 1/4 inch seams under or anything like that. Grab my scrapbooking tool, and then I just run along those seams, making sure that everything's turned out. It just gives me a nice finish. And up the top as well. Oh. And again, I give that a really good press. Okay, so I've given them a really good press, and now I'm going to top stitch. So for me, I'm just going to use a navy blue, I think I'll use on this one. And that way it matches the bottom. So you want to have your thread matching the top and the bottom as well. Okay, so you can see there that I've top stitched 1/8 inch all the way around, and I didn't have to worry about making sure that this was all even or anything like that where it was open, and the same for this one. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm going to flip it over so the lining is facing up, and this one here with the lining facing down. Okay, and I'm going to line up just on that top stitching line of here, and you can see that this just sits underneath here, so you can see that that's going to close down quite nicely. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my ruler, and I am going to make a few marks. I'll actually get a bit of a smaller ruler, grab my friction pen, and then what I'm going to do is making sure that those cuts there are lining up, okay, and that this edge here is lining up on the 8th, where I've done that top stitching. So that's all in place, and then I'm just going to grab a couple of flat pins and pop that into place there, and one over here. And then what I'm going to do is get my ruler, and I'm going to make a mark in the center. So this should be, yeah, so at about the 3.5 inch mark, which is about there. Just make a little mark, and I'm just going to, from the side, make sure that that is where the cut that I made to turn it through is, and it is. So I've got that line there, and I'm just going to continue that line across, and I'm just going to stop about 1/8 of an inch away from my top stitching, and then I'm going to go 1/2 inch up from that line, and again do the same thing, stop about 1/8 of an inch away, turn it around, do another 1/2 inch up from that center line, and make a line. So you can see there that I've just drawn 3 lines, and then I'm just going to join those side ones like so. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm actually not worried about the center line now. That was just a gauge to where I need to make my marks. Then I'm going to sew that rectangle there. Now I usually lengthen my stitch length up to about a 2.8 to a 2.9, just because you're going through so many layers. It'll just give you a better stitching. So yeah, just sew that rectangle there, and then we'll do the sides. Okay, so I've top stitched that in, and you can see there, you can't see any of those cuts now. It's completely concealed, and it's made the pocket in there nice and secure. So now what I'm going to do is head over to the ironing board, and I'm going to get rid of my friction pen marks, and then we're going to do the sides. Okay, so now we're up to the part where we're going to actually put our side bits on. And so basically what I've done is I've just traced this off the template that Shabby Fabrics supplies, and then I get my chalk marker, and I just place where the curve is on the template. I just place my purse on there, and then I grab my chalk marker, and I just make a little mark there and a little mark there, turn it around and do the other side. And now I have my marks for where my center pocket's going to line up. So this is what we're going for. So as you can see, I don't have any stitch marks there, stitching there or anything like that. And my pouch actually sits up for me, and I can fit a lot in there. It's brought my sides right up. And I don't have to worry about trying to get this, like folding this down and getting it underneath the sewing machine needle. So basically what I do is, this is where this stuff comes in. I grab myself a couple of wonder clips, and I grab my ultimate glue. I give it a really good shake, and then what I do is I put the glue instead of sewing, and this stuff holds. I have used this for a multitude of things. I've even fixed shoes with this stuff. I love it. It's non-toxic. It doesn't get all over the place. It lasts forever because a little goes a long way. I've used it for purse making for quite some time now, and I love it. I love the stuff. So this is my go-to glue to fix anything in the way of shoes or anything around the house, and also using for these purses. So I've got that, and now what I do is I assemble my purse. So where I made those chalk marks, I just bring up my sides to those, to the center pocket, just like so, and I just pop a wonder clip in there, and I sort of just make sure that it is actually sitting straight. I might have to just make a few little adjustments. And I'll do the same with the other side. And as you can see, I don't glue anything until I'm happy with how it's sitting. So I just sort of pinch that in a bit, and you can see there that it's starting to take shape. Then I fold it down as if I'm going to make it into the purse, and make sure that it's sitting okay. Now it's sort of a little bit skew-if, so I'll just fiddle around with that a little bit more. And I I just fold that in on itself. So I can see that that is actually sitting quite nicely. And I'm pretty happy with that. Alrighty. So my front bit's just not sitting properly. So I just fiddle around with that until I get it right. But I can see there that the pocket is sitting nicely. It's nice and straight. So I'm now ready to glue. So wherever I've got a wonder clip, that's where I'm actually going to put some glue. So you can see on this one here, I've got my label in there, and I put a little bit of glue just here, and it just makes it sit a little bit nicer, not as gapey. And I do the same up here as well. I put a little bit in there, and it just all sits nicely. It all folds up really well, and then it'll sit there, and it'll just stay sitting. So I'll grab my glue, just put a little bit of a dollop there, pop my wonder clip back. And then with this one here, I actually, in the sides, I just go down about 1 inch, and I just run that glue just up about 1/4 of an inch underneath it. And then I put the edge of the pocket into that glue, and then I grab 2 wonder clips, making sure that it's secure around it. And then repeat for the other side. And then repeat for the rest. And there we go. So we've put all our sides on, and it's sitting nicely. Just a wonder clip in the way. And then once that's dry, that's when I'll put the cam snap on. So you can see here on this one that I've done earlier, I've just put a white one on there, and how it's all sitting. So it's all nice, neat, tidy. Then I put the cam snap on, and then that's it. Your little pouch is done. But as I said, I'd put that on after everything is dry. So I hope you like this little tutorial today, and showing you how the different hacks that I do. And it just gives, I feel it just gives me a nice smoother finish and everything like that. So there we go. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me today. I really do hope you enjoyed our little hack video on the accordion pouch. I make a ton of these and sell them all the time, and I also take them to craft shows or anything like craft markets or anything like that. I give them as gifts. My girls have got a ton of them. Some of them they use for purses, some of them they use for makeup and all that sort of stuff. I personally use mine for sewing in my sewing kit, and I put my wonder clips in it and also my hand sewing supplies. I'd love to see some of the pictures and see how you went with the hacks. Please do let me know down below. I hope you really did enjoy this video today, and if you did, give us a thumbs up down below, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it, and that way you won't miss out on any future posts. My name's Nicole Reid for Darvanalee Design Studio, and thank you very much for joining me today, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.